Hello, I'm Dom, and I'm building an app for people who want to build apps. Okay, that kind of sounds like nonsense, but let's start at the beginning. In 2025, talked to somewhere close to 1,000 software developers and engineers and other folks looking to build apps and monetize them and find some financial freedom. I do this because my business is helping these people directly. Who am I to do this? Well, I've been in tech for over a decade. I've worked with some big companies, I've worked with some small companies, and I actually ran a startup consultancy for past 5 years, and I pivoted to helping individuals reach their goals because it just seemed like the right thing to do. How I do this is to fill in all the blanks outside of writing the code, specifically in product, which is about what do we build and why this, and go to market. How do we take that product and put it into people's hands? Now, I do this on a one-to-one coaching basis, but I also talk about it a lot on social media because I think this information is important to get out there. I want to share the knowledge. However, it's all words, nay action. Therefore, my impact is limited. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to build and monetize a product and share the journey here on my YouTube channel, but use each step as a vehicle to teach the concepts and principles in product management, go to market, all whilst I'm putting something into the world. And a bit of a swerve, this is actually a lesson on people, problem, and product. How to do things the easy way round. Now, one of the important things that I do when helping software developers and engineers become founders is getting them out of a trap that they've somewhat fallen into by changing their perspective on what a product is and what a market is. So the trap looks like this. People will come up with an idea. They'll think about all the things it can do and add functionality. Oh, wouldn't it be cool if we had this AI thing in it? Wouldn't it be really awesome if we could connect to this third party and have this integration? And then they go out and try and bring people to them. And then they get 0 users. So what do? They go off, they come up with more ideas, they add more functionality, they do more activities within their marketing channels, and they get 0 users. And they come up with more ideas and they add more functionality, and it goes on and on and on. And yet it never works. And you could recognize this in your own builds when it starts to feel like this. This is a solution looking for a problem. We recognize this. We've seen it so many times. And that's how you end up there. When you're very much idea at the start, you're inevitably going to be ended up in this place where you're going to be a solution looking for a problem. So where I've seen a lot of success is by flipping this completely on its head. You start with people and you focus on who's easy to get in front of in the first place. You then talk to them to understand what problems they're facing, what's urgent and impactful. And lastly, you then build to them, and that's the product. People, problem, product. So finally, I shall talk about the app that I'm building. Who are the people? Now, as I said, these are all software developers and engineers who are looking to build and monetize an app. But they get stuck in these traps and they come to me and they say, hey, Don, can you give me some advice? But when I give them the exact piece of advice that they need to hear, which is you need to go talk to more people, they respond with the same reaction, which goes something like, ugh. And I get it. So over 2025, as I met this near 1,000 people, whenever I heard that reaction, I would just dig deeper. I would ask really open-ended questions and really dig in and say, right, what's going on here? Why are you having such an emotional reaction to this, right? And I'm not going to say those words, but I said, what's within that noise of, oh, do I have to? Why is that so disgusting for you? What do you think is a good number of people to talk to for you to make a product decision or make a marketing decision? That's a trick question because you can always talk to more people. Where are you going to find people to talk to? Like, Are you going into subreddits? Are you going here? Are you going there? Like, how do you know when you get a human reaction? How do you know when you get a question answered in a way that's helpful and truthful? And how are you building rapport with the interviewee? Because eventually you're going to have to go back to them in order to go to market. At some point, you're going to have to turn around to them and say, hey, here's my thing. Do you want to use it? And all of these questions then build up a bigger picture and tells a story. And that takes us to the second part, the problem. This is where all of the work happens. And we have to define our problem, and we have to make sure our problem is actually being experienced in a way that is urgent and impactful, and people are actually going to do something about it to fix it. And my problem statement looks like this. As a software developer or software engineer, I want to build and monetize an app, and therefore become a founder for my own financial independence. However, I do not feel like a founder because the projects I create have few to no users in them. This is because I have not made good products and or go-to-market decisions, because I have not spoken to enough people. This is because talking to several people fills me with dread. It does not fit my social skills. It feels far too awkward. Therefore, I feel everything I build has a core of assumptions, and I am just rolling the dice on it being successful. I focus on marketing tactics, tricks, hacks, rather than crafting a strong product and go-to-market strategy. In other words, I set myself up to fail unless massively lucky. And now the third part, the product. Now, it's important to know that I'm not actually going to go in and start thinking up ideas and coming up with solutions. I'm merely going to focus on what is my hypothesis. If I build an app that will alleviate the pain of talking to people by making the process enjoyable or removing the need to do it altogether, then people will adopt it into their journeys in order to become a founder. Now, I don't know if this hypothesis is true or false. I don't know if I'm accurate or inaccurate. It might be I go out to the world to try and fix this and nobody wants it. But that's the work we're going to do, and it's the work I'm going to do over the next few weeks. So that's why I want to share with you. How do I prove this hypothesis to be correct? And if it is correct, how do I then put together a product that's worthwhile? And most importantly, because I'm terrible at naming things, right now this is just called Production, because people want to keep quiet, right? And finally, if you are a software developer or a software engineer and you want to build an app, maybe now, maybe at some point in the future, then you can take on this particular model or framework to be able to help you get to that point so you won't get stuck trying to find people to use your product. It is people, problem, product. So here's a list of things you can do this week which are going to help you on that journey. First of all, work out who's easy for you to reach. It might be a case of a local community group, which I've put here. That's a great starting point. But you can also go on to meetup.com and Luma, go meet people in person. Who is it that's really easy to get in front of? Because eventually you're going to have to try and sell something, right? And it's easier to sell surfboards on the Gold Coast of Australia than it is in the middle of Siberia, right? So that's why you want to say who's easy to get in front of. Once you've done that, you can then ask these people, like, where are they online and also in person? So you can say, are you part of any WhatsApp groups? Are you part of any Telegram groups? Maybe you certain subreddits, or maybe you're part of a Discord server. Get into those spaces and look at what they're talking about. Ask questions. Ask open-ended questions. But also kind of get into that space of saying, look, okay, let's figure out some rough solution that we can kind of make this work. Or maybe they've done that bit already, and what problem are they actually trying to solve there? And finally, when you're going out and talking to all these people, what you want to do is define an archetype. Define one person that can represent a big chunk of the cohort. And this enables you to build for them rather than trying to be in this space of divining an idea and hopefully it's going to match up to their actual pain points. So break down your archetypes into a set of attributes and then ask questions about those attributes. If your archetype is somebody that you say is competitive, Then go ask them questions about being competitive. Do you play sports? Do you feel that you have to win? Have you ever fallen out with somebody because you were too competitive? Ask those type of questions to then inform your archetypes. Is this accurate to meet this group of people? The more people you talk to, the more accurate it's going to be. And then once you start asking questions and being able to predict the answers, then you are ready to sit down and start coming up with ideas. And that is part one. And if you want to join me on this journey over however long it's going to take, then please consider liking and subscribing. And I'm in all the other places at Chuffdom everywhere. So I hope to hear from you. Drop a comment if you want to ask any questions. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.